Yay, look at that. Yeah. I'll just put my hand in front of my mouth, and then you won't know if I'm talking or not. Oh, it says you're muted. Cool, cool. Yeah, so John was saying that, I was having some technical problems, but it seems to be, it goes both ways. It's a super good start to the show. We're gonna be talking about some adding some festive flourishes to your stream or your virtual camera or however you want to use your OBS. And maybe he's back with us with the
I
nodding.
think
All right,
I'm
let's try.
back. I think I'm back. Okay. I've got to tell you, we're trying to be festive. We're trying to be in a good mood for this week, but I've had nothing but technical issues all week, and I'm about ready to just give up and cry. I upgraded my version of Windows 11 and it removed my license key for Windows. So right now it's just telling me that everything is unlicensed. I can't do anything at all. I don't know where the original key is. I'm going to have to contact the company that built this computer for me because it was included in that and see if they've got it. But I had that. I bought sort of a laptop window extender thing that you put on top of the laptop screen. It completely destroyed my laptop screen. I'm not having a good week. I'm just going to be really upfront about that. And my goal for today is just to get through the stream without crying.
Yeah.
But now we've got audio, so that's sort of half the battle.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, maybe the stream wants to be something else. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. And thanks for that feedback, Hayes, Saeed, and Livestream Consultants as well. Thank you for being here. All right, we're going to try and get through this. And I do have some cool, fun, interesting stuff to show you that may add a little bit of flair to what you're doing. If you are watching live, do that hashtag team live thing for me or hashtag team replay if you're watching later on. We're gonna have a go. We're gonna see where we end up today. I can't make any promises because just like everything is breaking, and it's the joy of live. Honestly, I love the audience participation and the engagement, but in every other respect, it's so much easier to just do things offline and record them and edit them and make them perfect. But anyway, that aside, my nervous breakdown to one side for a moment. What we are going to do today, and a lot of the resources I'm going to share with you today, actually come from the Elgato Marketplace. So we'll talk about that. We'll show you some things that are actually technically stream alerts, but you can use them as sort of overlays and underlays, I guess, backgrounds, all kinds of different things. We're going to talk about festive music as well. Why you probably want to stay away from the Mariah and the Wham this season and probably every season. We'll get into that, and we'll show you some royalty-free options and how you can wrangle those in OBS. And we're also going to talk about making maybe your Stream Deck buttons a little bit more festive. So that's coming up on the show today. I will say a lot of the stuff that we'll be talking about today, and let me press this magical button. Hopefully it works. There we go. So if you head over to johnlacey.com/festive, it'll redirect you to this LinkedIn Live article, and a lot of the resources are actually linked here today. So let's start with these Christmas overlays, and you probably would have seen them because I've been sharing them madly on everywhere. So like we've got a few different ones here, and I guess first of all, this is in fact before we get there, let's just take a step back. This is the Elgato Marketplace. So if you have any kind of Elgato device, I kind of think even if you don't, you probably could sign up for this. And some of these things are sort of Stream Deck specific. So if you don't have one of those, it could be an issue, but Stream Deck do also have their free, their mobile apps for Android and iOS these days, and you get free 6 free buttons to play with. So if you do need one and you don't have a physical device, you can certainly try that out here. But we've got the Stream Deck things, we've got graphics, we've got video, we've got audio and 3D. The other thing that I was mentioning to Saeed actually during the week was they literally have designs that you can 3D print for your Stream Deck if you want to mount it in different places, or key light clips and all kinds of cool stuff. I don't actually have a 3D printer, but if you do, that's potentially really, really good to know.
Yeah, right. The new 3D addition to the store is super cool. I'm kind of like, yeah, oh man, I wish I had the space for a 3D printer now.
All right, so what we're gonna do? Let's have a look at these three, and these are actually from StreamFog, and they are technically stream alerts, and we'll talk about how you can maybe potentially set these up as though as sort of chat commands or responses to different things. But we've got Gift Storm, we've got Santa's Tour, and we've got Present Opening, and there might actually be other ones in here as well. But essentially, this one gives you, it has this animation that flies in with all these presents. You see Santa waving, and it sort of removes all that, and then it has some snow and a giant snowflake appears on the screen, which is really, really fun, and I think could sort of work as a bit of a scene transition as well. It's really elegant, actually. And then we've got Santa's Tour, which is Santa sort of flying across the screen in the sleigh with the reindeer. We also have the Present Opening, and this one is really cool. So the little present box opens, a snow globe comes out of it, and says, I think it says Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or something. But essentially, once you grab these, all you need to do is go to the download button. And these ones, a lot of these things will integrate directly with the Stream Deck, but these are slightly different. So you will literally get a file that will download. It'll come in here. What you'll see here is that we have a number of different files, and we've got a background and a foreground. So if you're like me and you work in sort of a green screen or blue screen environment, that can be really cool. You can have the layering. Got a preview, thumbnail, and a JSON file. Again, like this, I'm not even sure what the JSON file is. Potentially, we could even import that in somewhere. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab these. I'm going to maybe go to the documents. I'll go to my stream resources. I probably already got these here in fairness, but let me just double check. So Present Opening, I've just unzipped these. And the great thing about this is that if I bring up my portable version of OBS, so that's something I prepared earlier, we can go down here, we can go and create a new media source. And I'm not even sure which one I decided on. So it was Present Opening. So I might just go Present Backgrounds. And I will just find that again. My stream resources. So we've got the background here. I click OK, it should sort of play in the background. I'm not seeing a whole lot of stuff happening there, but that's interesting. And let's grab the foreground because it probably has some more interesting things in there as well. So we'll just go Present Foreground. All right, and this essentially is what happens. It'll open the present, the snow globe will come out. It'll flick around and say, thank you, Merry Christmas, I believe. So essentially we've got that. I guess the other thing to note too is if I toggle this, toggle the visibility of this one on and off with the eye icon, you'll see down here there is actually some audio. So I think we need to talk about our audio options. And again, I just want to mention, because of the way that we're doing the stream today, you guys won't be hearing this audio, and I'm actually not hearing that either at the moment, but I just want to talk about these advanced audio options, and that is slightly behind me, but take my word for it, it is there. So essentially, I guess there are a couple of things to note here. First of all, if I turn that off and turn that on again, you'll see that that peaks pretty high up into the red. So we probably want to bring that down in volume. So I could just drag this down. I could sort of actually find this in the list and adjust the volume. And I'm sort of an audio engineer kind of guy. So I like to think in dBs, but if you preferred, you can actually tick this box here, which will give you a percentage. We can talk about the balance. So left, right, center, whether it's in one headphone or the other. And we've also got the monitoring options. So the monitoring options are really important. This is a place where a lot of people get tripped up really easily. So monitor off means that the stream will hear it, but you won't hear it. Monitor only means that you'll hear it, but the stream won't. And monitor and output means both you and the stream will hear it. And we do have different tracks. I'm not even going to worry about those too much. If you are a beginner, just leave them all checked. And Sam, is there anything else that you think we need to know in terms of, the audio or the video aspect of this? Because I guess if we go back into our audio settings here, we do have a number of different options there as well.
Yeah, I would just make sure that it's not looped.
Okay, sure.
I don't think loop is by default, but if you see that happening, then there you want to go into properties and make sure that's off.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about this is that because it is this sort of external file that you're bringing into uh, OBS, is that it's actually not exclusive to Stream Deck to operate it. Like you could mix it up to turn on and off this file. You could even make a command so that chat viewers could trigger it.
We are you're cutting quite a bit, but I do love where you're going with this, and I kind of want to
yeah.
There we go. I think you're kind of back, but what we will do, and I think this is kind of worth unpacking, because in a lot of ways, the easiest way to bring this on is sort of to toggle the visibility, and you can do that just by hitting that button there. You can also go up into the file options and go to settings and just find your hotkeys and try to remember what this is called. I think it was present foreground. So in fact, I'll type more of that so we don't get confused, but essentially you can set up a keyboard shortcut if you wanted to trigger this one. So if I go something like Control Shift, I don't know, /, okay, that's clearly something that's already happening on my computer, so we won't use that one. But if we go maybe Control Shift F11, there we go. Okay, and we can do that to show or hide, and I think in fact if I do that again for the same one, it probably will toggle between those two options. So now if I go Control Shift 11 F11, that'll bring it on as well. I genuinely can't work out if Sam is glitching or if he's actually deep in thought, but although the way you're moving, I'm thinking you are glitching quite badly.
Very delayed. Yeah.
Okay.
It might just be a voice.
All right. I can see you, but there is definitely a delay there, which is kind of annoying. Saeed says maybe you could import the whole thing by importing the JSON. Yeah, potentially that could be an option. In this case, because I'm using this really as almost just a single file, this one actually doesn't have anything particularly interesting happening in the background, so I'm going to get rid of the backgrounds. It's one less thing to think about. But getting back to Sam's sort of earlier points, if I do go into my chatbot, and I've got Mix It Up, and we'll talk about Mix It Up in more detail next week, but if I go and say it's here in the chat, so if I go to the user info, I just need to remember where this actually is. Edit user. Maybe edit user? I'm not really sure. Okay, yes, great. This is where we are. So
you're looking to give him specific, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yep. Brilliant. All right. So if I want to give Saeed the permission to run a version of this on our main stream. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to add commands. And this is where I'll struggle to remember all of this. But if I go Christmas overlay, and we'll do, actually it doesn't need that exclamation mark, so I'll get rid of that. What I think I do need to do, and because I've connected this to my version of OBS, so I can sort of do this directly. So I think it's under streaming software. We'll go plus. So OBS, and I want to do source visibility. You do need to get this exactly right. So what I'm gonna do, and I think it's just called okay, it's literally called Santa here, so that's fine. And this is case sensitive. So often the best thing to do is to right click and go to rename and copy and paste it directly, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Actually, that's the scenes, so that's wrong already. So tabs and overlays and Santa. And I want to make that visible. I'm going to add another command, which is going to wait. And so I think it's about 10 seconds. I don't really know, to be honest. And then I'm going to do another one, which is streaming software again. And I'm just going to do the same sort of thing, but I'm going to make that hidden. So source visibility, tabs and overlays, Santa. Okay, so we make it visible, we wait a certain amount of time, and then we make it invisible again. So what I want to do, the usage requirements, the cooldown period. So this is where I really only want Sade to do this maybe once an hour. So I've got to do some math, and it would be so good if Mix It Up actually had a calculator built in, because I wouldn't need to do this all the time. But let's just say 59 times 60 is 3,540 seconds. All right, so I'm going to save that. In fact, I'm going to change this command to just say Santa. So I'm going to save that. Probably give it a couple of minutes, Saeed. And then what I will do, we'll go back to our side-by-side screen. I better turn that off. And what I'll get you to do is type !Santa into the chat for me. And this will only work for Saeed, because that's how I set this up. But again, you could potentially do this in any number of different ways. And while you're doing that, I might just check in to see if anything else is happening in the chat. And if Saeed's left us, then you won't see a lot of a lot of this anyway, which is annoying, but it is what it is. And there might be a bit of a delay anyway. And I just want to mention too, oh, there we go. He's done it. He's done it.
Yay.
So that does work, and again, hopefully you heard the audio of that one as well, because that was how that should have been set up, whether it actually was or not. But it just goes to show that you can make those streams really quite interactive, and that's just with basically a video file. It is a WebM file, which is a sort of a compressed version. It does have that transparency. Sam kind of alluded to the fact that you can bring these videos into different pieces of software, and that's true, but I just want to point out that if you are sort of, and say it's trying a second time, it'll probably give him a cooldown message, hopefully. But we'll find out in a second. So again, just to recap, so say he did Santa, but then he did it a second time, and my chatbot is saying this command is currently on cooldown. Please wait another 58 minutes. So again, if you do have something that might potentially be a little bit distracting on the screen, it's a good idea to introduce that cooldown period. But I just want to remind everybody, and I've written this wrong in the chat, Festival Flourishes instead of Festive Flourishes. But if you do want the instructions for any of this, go to johnlacey.com/festive. We will have those over there. I feel like poor Sam's being a bit left out. So what we will do, we'll just go to a promo, and we'll come back and we'll have a bit of a discussion. So we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks so much for being here.
We are constantly training our cats every interaction that we have with them. So when Johan would get on my counter before, this is 10 years ago, before I was the cat expert that I am now, Johan would jump on the counter. What was the first thing I did? I'd say his name, Johan. He loves that. That's a reward for him. He said, you just said my name. I would go over to him and I talk to him and be like, you can't be on the counter. Johan loves when I talk to him. Ding, that's another reward for Johan. I'd pick him up and put him on the ground, but I didn't want him to think I was mad at him. So when I'd pick him up very nicely and kiss him on the head and say, I love you, but you can't be here. I'd put him on the ground. I had just done 3 things that rewarded him for being on the counter. So I was encouraging him to continue doing that.
And that's a promo for Sam's podcast, Just Kidding Around, which you can learn more about over at cuteavalanche.com. And it's funny, you literally just glitched there for a second, but I can see you back, so that's really good. So Sam, we're gonna have a conversation about Christmas music, and I think you probably know what my lecture about this is going to be, but maybe I should put it to you first. Should we be playing Mariah Carey and Wham on our Christmas streams, do you think?
No, of course not. Just based on how bad those songs are in the first place, but also you do have copyright issues to deal with, but more so they're just bad songs. Anyway, I think that is the thing that John and I agree on the most. First and foremost. But yeah, you definitely want to be careful with copyrighted material and not getting your channel DMCA strikes or anything like that. So when in doubt, just don't use it. There are plenty of places to get copyright free or royalty free Christmas musics But yeah, a lot, there's a lot of people that'll be like, oh, these songs are in the public domain. And yes, a lot of Christmas songs are technically in the public domain, but the recordings are not. So you have to really be careful about that kind of thing as well. That is, one of those things where the music and the concept and the lyrics were created hundreds of years ago. But if anybody has recorded that specifically in the last, depending on your country, in America, it's the last 70 years, you can't use that recording. So you'll have to find, a 71-year-old or older recording, then you're probably safe. But yeah, when in doubt, just make sure you go somewhere that has, a very upfront, royalty-free selection of music.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. And I love that you kind of made that distinction between, and again, I studied music business management back in the day, that distinction between like the publishing rights, which is the melody and the lyrics, and essentially, and then you've got the recording, which we used to describe as mechanical rights, because the point at which that stuff would be calculated would be when it was physically burnt to a CD or attached to a cassette or vinyl record or whatever. But yes, I mean, this has been a really, really long conversation in some ways to set up the fact that you should be using licensed material. If you don't have a license for it, don't use it. It's just, I know it can be fun. I know it can be really engaging, and a lot of people try to just hedge their bets a little bit and just see where they end up. But I just want to really call out the fact that it could end very, very badly for you. So the great news about all of this, though, is that we do have a selection of different things in the Elgato Play Store and elsewhere. So I'll just share my screen again. Going back to this article, so if we go to this Christmas music list, and I should say this is literally just me searching for the word Christmas and then just filtering by the audio, and then inside the audio we have music and sound effects. So essentially what you can do, and I think all these ones are free. I should say too, there are things on the Elgato marketplace that aren't free, and you will have to pay for those separately. But a lot of this stuff that we're looking at today is free. Again, some of this stuff is, it is some of those old classics that are out of copyright, and there's people recording those. A lot of these are sort of just original compositions that people have made that are sort of vaguely Christmassy. But this is me searching for the word Christmas. The other thing we can do is if we go into audio and then we go into music, we also have some genres. And there is a specific genre here called holidays and special events. So we can click on that one and we actually get even more options, and we can go show more to show more of those as well. So essentially what we can do, there's a little eye icon beside each of these. Click on it, it'll let you know how long it is, who the artist is and what it is. We can go in and hit the play button to preview this. Again, our stream today isn't really set up for you guys to hear that, so I'd encourage you to check this out yourself. But once you've decided you want to run with one of these compositions, you can just hit the download button, and that will trigger in your Stream Deck. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. But we also have the ability to add to cart. So if you're not really sure which one you want, or you want a lot of different options, you could sort of come in and add all these ones to the cart, and then sort of use that process to check out as well. But let's just go with one of these. Merry Christmas by Boomer. That shall suffice. I'm going to click on this to download. It's going to tell me that it's going to open this in my Stream Deck, and I'll bring my Stream Deck software over here. I might even, just for today's purposes, let's go to the Mini, and I'll come over to another page. So now over in the soundboard option, we can drag this over. We can give this a title, and I've already forgotten what the composition was called, but that's fine. We can give this a title. We can go and find the file. If we click on these three dots, it'll actually default to the folder in which it keeps all these things. So we've got a whole bunch of different ones here. I guess if I do date modified, it'll probably tell me. So Merry Christmas is this one here. So this is its own special Stream Deck audio format. So this is really designed to be used here. we have options to play and then stop, play and then overlap, play, restart, loop, or stop. I would just leave it on play stop. I don't think I need anything more elaborate than that. We do also have some fade in and out options as well. We can adjust the volume and we can sort of change where this defaults to. So normally I would tell you to leave this alone, but given my issues with Windows 11 this week, I am going to actually make a conscious decision to filter that to the Rodecaster. And right now, if I were to hit this button on my physical Stream Deck, you won't actually see a whole lot, but it's playing the music in my headphones, and I can actually see a waveform and a countdown for how long this is. And it looks like this is about 1 minute 40. So this is great, and you can certainly do this as well. But the thing I want to call out is if you want that to actually appear in your stream in OBS, we do need to take some other steps as well. So I feel like I've been talking a lot, Sam. Feel free to jump in if you've got anything you'd like to add.
Well, no, I was gonna. Yeah, I've never used the audio from the Stream Deck library, so I was learning, and I was waiting for the how do we tie it into OBS part, which I mean I figured I knew, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't some cool, fast and easy way to do it. I'm sure it's the normal,
so I guess, yeah.
I don't. Go on.
I was just going to say, this is kind of a fresh, a relatively fresh install of OBS, and this comes with a number of different audio sources by default, and I don't like using these at all. The first thing I do is ordinarily I'd disable these and make them go away, but if I were to click this button on my Stream Deck right now, you will see that desktop audio is bringing this in already. And on the one hand, that sounds great, like that's easy, but the problem with this is if you accidentally have YouTube or Twitch or your stream open in any unmuted tab anywhere, it's going to be heard by the stream. And that's a problem because they're going to have the most irritating sort of echo in the background. So what I kind of encourage you to do, let's mute this. Let's get rid of it. Let's hide it. So mute it and hide it. And what I would do instead of this, and this is a relatively new feature, if we go to the add a new source, we go to application audio capture beta, and it looks like we've lost Sam, so I might just I'll go back to my screenshot and I'll go full screen, and hopefully Sam can join us in a second. But we go to add a source, application audio capture. We can just, I'm going to call this one Stream Deck Audio. And all I want to do is I want to make sure that from this window, I've actually got my Stream Deck selected. So this one here. And again, in the same way that we spoke about this previously, we probably want to check out our advanced audio options. So if I come in here, and again, Stream Deck Audio is this one down here. If I press this button here, we'll see how loud that is. That's actually a pretty good volume, I'd suggest, for that. It's only spiking ever so slightly in the red. We could bring it down a little bit potentially, but I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm going to turn that off for a second. The monitoring options are important here because you will actually be hearing this audio potentially from your Stream Deck. So you don't really want this monitor and output option because you'll hear it twice and it'll be slightly delayed and it'll be really irritating. So in this case, monitor off actually is the right answer. So we can do that, and you know, essentially, as long as you've got this Stream Deck audio source in the scenes that you want to work with, then you should be good to go. All right, I'm gonna make myself stop sharing for a second. I'm gonna check in with the comments. So Said writes, you could potentially even get a strike for humming certain songs. Yeah, and there have been times in the past where musicians doing cover songs has been a tricky area for YouTube. I think they've made some strides in that area, but it is definitely something to be conscious of as well. And I feel like I can hear a little bit of a tapping in the background, so I'm hoping that means Sam's back. Maybe not. All right, well, we'll figure that out in a second. Said writes, how about the YouTube audio library? There are MP3s, but I guess you can only use them on YouTube streams and videos then. I've actually never used those, so that's a really good question, and it would be interesting to sort of check that out. So I'm just going to go to a different tab because I can hear Sam in the background.
Well, if I'm here, I'll answer that.
Okay, are you here? Let me just.
I was going to say, yeah. So I have actually used a lot of things from the YouTube audio library because my friends RKVC are one of those artists that YouTube hired to make a bunch of songs, about 2 albums worth. And I've used them on live streams that were multicast to multiple platforms without any issues. Whether or not they just didn't catch me or I'm allowed to, I'm honestly not sure of. So, take it with a grain of salt that you want to check that. But I do believe that you actually can use the YouTube audio library music that was created by artists via YouTube. Like, I think there's a bunch of different stuff in that audio library. So you definitely have to research it a little bit.
Nice. And I guess the other thing I just wanted to mention briefly is another great place to get royalty-free music is incompetech.com. They don't actually have a lot of particularly festive music, but they did have, 3 or 4 selections, and that is something that YouTubers have been using since almost the beginning of time. It's very popular. There are certain pieces of music that are almost cliches on the short form video platforms these days, so it's been really rather interesting to watch that. But I guess, Sam, just to catch you up, because I feel like you probably missed this portion of it, but if I just go
I heard a good amount.
okay.
I was here, it was just breaking up and I was frozen, but I did hear a good amount of everything. It was like maybe the last minute.
Sure. So, essentially, all I'm really doing here is using the relatively new audio application Audio Capture, which is technically in beta, just making sure that I've selected the Stream Deck here. And once I've got that, if I trigger this on the Stream Deck, you'll see it down here doing its thing. Again, I know the stream isn't set up for you guys to actually hear that. And to be honest, I don't love this particular piece of music, so I may not be using that one in future. But essentially, the other thing is just to be mindful of the advanced audio properties, because there's a really good chance you'll already be hearing this from your Stream Deck software. So to hear it monitor and output will be horrendous. And I realize you guys can't hear this, but I'm going to do this and just behold the facial expressions I make as I do this, because I'm sure it's going to be awful. So I press the button. Actually, it's not that bad, but it does I can definitely hear sort of the almost reverby delay between those two instances of the audio, which I wouldn't if I just had it monitor off. So that's essentially where we were headed for all of that. Saeed does mention as a bit of a side note that OBS 31 is released this week. I am using it since the beta already. You've got me wondering now what version I'm actually on. So I'm still on 30.2.3 actually. So that's interesting.
Me too. Yeah, same.
I guess if you discover any quirks, please let us know, because we'd love to know about that up front. That would be really useful.
Especially if there were any headaches switching over to it, because that can happen.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we're going to come back. We'll talk about some festive options in terms of maybe making your Stream Deck buttons look a little bit more festive in just a moment. But this is the Video and Live Streaming Show. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm John Lacey, and in Build a Presentation Muscle, I want to talk about finding your voice, refining and sharing your message, using tools and technology to share that message, and looking after yourself as a creator.
And that's a promo for my podcast, Build a Presentation Muscle, which you can learn more about over at johnlacey.com. Sam, we're really going to need to get you some better internet. This is getting weird. All right, we'll need to figure this out.
I'm looking at it. I did want to, before we move on from the copyright and DMCA stuff, about 4 years ago, I wrote an article on my Medium blog with some alternatives to stealing stuff. So you can find that at my Streamer's Corner blog. I'm gonna put the link in my thing and hope that Restream does its thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you search for Soundproof DMCA Medium, you should be able to find that. And it's got not just audio, but also some places to get like stock imagery and stuff like that as well. But it is 4 years old, so I think all of those sources are still around, but they may not be. I need to do a modern version of that post.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about, maybe making our Stream Deck buttons a little bit more festive now. So I'll press this magical button, hopefully it'll work. All right, brilliant. So Elgato have released a gingerbread option of icons, and I guess that's the other thing. Let's take a step back from here. We've got all kinds of icons. Some of these are free, some of them are paid, but essentially you can make the buttons on your Stream Deck look a little bit more impressive. And again, a bit of a shout out to Saeed, because this essentially was how my buttons used to look. Like, I would never change anything about them. I would just name them and move on with my life. So if I go back to the extra large, this is actually what they look like with a bit of encouragement from Saeed. And in this case, I haven't, for the most part, these are just colored backgrounds with text. But to give you an indication of what this used to look like, I'm not sure. Maybe I move that. So this is what this used to look like. And I'm going to turn that one off while I see it, because that'll annoy me later. But essentially, I went from that to this. This is exactly the same sort of thing. But the great thing, and I probably could update these two because they're brand new. Okay, so I think Saeed is we'll come back to Saeed's point there. But essentially, the great thing about this, and maybe we should talk about this more generally, but the great thing about this is we can sort of change how these buttons look. And if you were to go back to our gingerbread example, so we can go, we can sort of get this in Stream Deck. I've already got this, and it's sort of behind Sam's head there a little bit, but there's a button essentially to either get or open in Stream Deck. I've already got this installed over here. So if we go to our button options, we've got set from file, sorry. Which essentially is just bringing in an image file, and that's what I've done for the just getting around and build a presentation muscle icons here. We've got create a new icon, which I've never used, and I really don't know what it does, but I'm really curious now. Okay, so it brings you to this webpage on the Elgato site, and you can sort of go from there and build it out. That's really interesting. I think I have done that ages ago, but I haven't done it in forever. But the other one we have here is Open Stream Deck Icon Library. So this is the place at which these things will be downloaded, and it's gone to a different screen. So let me just move this over where you can actually see it. And here, in fact, let's just maximize that. And this is the gingerbread icons. So I could sort of come in here and grab any of these icons and move them there. So in this case, I don't know, I might get this little, I guess it's an Instagram icon, but for today's purposes, let's just select that one. And if I go back here, you'll see that we've actually got that icon in place. The other thing that is quite useful is you can change the way the text appears. So generally what I do is I make this a little bit larger, and then I'll sort of put it in the middle. So I could have something like, so this is screen share and Sam in his little mask in this case. So we can go in and we can sort of change those buttons, and I can reset that to the default. I can go in and actually find the icon library again. It really wants to pop up on that other screen, and we could pick a different one. In fact, let's make it really Christmassy and have this mitten here. So you can go in and make those a little bit more festive as we go along. So Sam, I'm kind of curious, do you, and I should press that one as well. Okay, so do you spend a lot of time changing how your Stream Deck buttons look?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It's like a 50-50 depending on the show. I did a bunch of shows at Mob Crush that were very unique and had different people. And so for those shows, I definitely went into like Photoshop and I created just like dozens and dozens of different icons so that they would be visually easy to find, because a lot of these shows were like, brand new. So they had their own special layouts and different stuff. And I just wanted to make sure I could find the button quick without, having to spend hours learning placements, because you didn't have that kind of habitual time to set those memories.
Yeah, and
so it is something I've done quite a
cool.
bit of.
Yeah, we are. You're sort of cutting in and out quite a bit.
A lot of my shows, I just go with default as well.
Yeah. It is certainly easier. Saeed sort of mentions that he color codes his buttons so they make sense: green for scenes and yellow for sound effects, etc. I must admit, and I didn't really appreciate this about myself until recently, but I'm I have a very spatial relationship with things. I'm not always looking at these buttons. I'm just remembering the position of them. So in a lot of ways, I mean, it's nice to set them up and make them more attractive, but I don't always necessarily need that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bonus to have. It's not necessary at all. And you definitely get that muscle memory after a few run-throughs.
Absolutely. And we are having some internet issues today. Saeed is saying today they were digging for fiber in my street. It'll be available soon. Looking forward to 1,000 down, 500, 1,000 down, and I'm assuming that's 500 up. Yes, which he clarified in the next comment. Yeah. That would be brilliant. I don't know if
that's what I used to have.
Yes. I don't know if they can bring it to where Sam is, but that would be amazing. I must admit there are options
hopefully
in my neck of the woods to upgrade. I just haven't had a chance. It's been such a crazy busy year that I just really haven't had a chance to even explore that, but it would be amazing. And and anything that we can do to sort of make this a little bit more fluid. Hello to Ender Trading, who is actually joining us live. This is amazing. Normally, he's the first person to do Team Replay, but it's great to have your company. Hope Vietnam is treating you well. All right. So today we've been talking about how we can introduce some festive flourishes to your live streams and video shows and virtual cameras and all of the things through the magic of OBS Studio. We sort of looked at some of those overlays and how we can use those in different ways. I guess that is the one thing that we didn't kind of mention, and I just want to let's go back to maybe the Stream Deck Mini, and I'll press this magical button. And so we kind of touched on the fact that often the easy way to bring those things in is just to toggle the source visibility. So what I would probably recommend, and this is basically true of anything that you're wrangling, but I'm going to bring in a multi-action, and I can give this a name, and I think we'll call this one Santa. And basically what I want to do is I want to toggle the source visibility in OBS, and I'm going to do that twice, and I'm going to wait. And this is essentially, I suppose it's delay. There we go. So again, I know this sounds so simple and obvious, but all I really want to do is I want to, we'll say show Santa, and I want that on my tabs and overlays, and we'll go to Santa, and then we're going to wait, and it's in milliseconds again, which is always fun, but I'm just going to guess that's 10,000. It doesn't really matter too much. We don't need to be too exact. So I guess first of all, we want to make sure Santa is shown. We wait for it to do its thing, and then we want to hide it again. So hide Santa. Again, these are just for my reference. You can name them whatever you like, but again, on our tabs, and I'm sure it's staring me in the face and I'm blind. There we go. So essentially, like, this is a way I can set this up as a physical button on the Stream Deck. And I showed you earlier, we set up that command so say you could trigger this sort of once an hour. So again, let me turn that off. Let us go properly full screen. And I'm going to press this button and you can see how this works in action. And our animation pops up on the screen. You'll hear that audio in the background as long as you're not Sam. And then we have that wonderful snowflake which clears the scene. And again, that's something that you can sort of download and work with. I love that one in particular. There's something really fun about that. But essentially, that is how we can do that with a Stream Deck button. But the general principle is identical whether you're doing this via Mix It Up or, some other thing. Show, wait, hide. That's all this is. That's as complicated as it needs to be. Okay, cool. So, Sam, I feel like we probably can't talk about Christmas without at least touching on the amazing thing that is happening over at Cute Avalanche. And I'm just trying to... In fact, I'm gonna open up Twitch. I'm just gonna make sure I've got it muted so we don't hear too much of this in the background. But let me just go like this. So, talk to us about this amazing thing over at Cute Avalanche for Christmas.
Sure. So this is our interactive Catmas experience, which is at twitch.tv/cute avalanche. It is multicasting to other platforms, but the interactiveness of it is only available through our Twitch page at this time. And it's got a series of different sort of interactive things happening. One of them is you can see this great Christmas scene with the Christmas cat tree with lights and tinsel and a cat on top. This has a face to it, which is, you'll note it's similar to a lot of the more common emotes. So this reacts to things in chat, not chat commands, just words or emotes that are placed in the chat. I'll see if I can trigger some of them while we're here. It might be a little delayed, of course. But yeah, the tree itself has about 12 different faces that it will go through. It doesn't seem to be reacting right now. That's fine. It's just very slow.
Okay,
and
cool.
maybe broken. Okay. So yeah, it will react to both text prompts and emotes. The lights and the tinsel and the sort of cat on top are all channel point reward triggers. So channel points are a button that is part of Twitch's built-in UI. So you basically create this button on the Twitch side, and then on the Mix It Up side, you tell it what it does. So I could go in and I can change the color of the lights. I can change the color of the tinsel, and you can switch the sort of tree topper to about 5 or 6 different cats, but also other things like a bow or a hat, or gold stars and stuff like that. And then finally, we have these ornaments that go around the screen. And when somebody drops a 200-bit donation, bits are sort of Twitch's built-in e-currency system. So you buy packages of bits. So you use real money to buy digital fake money. And then you can go in and use those on any of the live streams. You're not buying it directly in that live stream. So when somebody does 200 or more bits in a single donation, this all runs through Mix It Up. So Mix It Up sees who they are, finds their user avatar, uses a JavaScript to download their user avatar, and labels it the word image, and then whatever the next number in the sequence is, we're somewhere around the mid-20s, I'm guessing. I can't count that fast. So it would be like image23.png, and it will overwrite whatever existing ornament icon is on the screen right there. OBS recognizes that immediately because it's pulling those in through OBS. And OBS also has a circular mask on it. So it takes those square user avatars, puts a circle mask on it, and now you have a circular ornament with our user avatar. And the last sort of integration activity here is that it is pulling 3 dynamic fields, which are the most recent Twitch sub, the most recent donation, and the most recent bits. So the most recent donation is not the same as a bits. It's anyone who goes through one of our other donation portals like Patreon, or we have like a plugin on our website that uses, it's like WP Give or Give WP, one of those, and then it sends a webhook over to Mix It Up as well. So there's a lot of different interaction things going through this, some much easier than the others, and some that are working better than the others, apparently. But yeah, there's a bunch of different interactions, and it runs for the entirety of the month.
Nice. So I think next week's show, assuming that our internet's and technology doesn't collapse completely, I think we're going to be talking about sort of really building out a system to foster audience engagement via the Mix It Up chatbot, which we've done a couple of shows on previously, and it's like you do a lot of amazing things in that space. I don't really do a lot right now, but I kind of would like to, and I think it's a great way of sort of rewarding people that'll come back and be return visitors. Because I guess the thing that may not be obvious about Mix It Up, although I think we might have discussed it previously, is like if anybody is watching from my YouTube channel or my Twitch, I kind of have a really elaborate record of everything they've ever done with my content. And certainly my live content. So like I can go in and check out Saeed's history and see all the comments he's made and how long he's been watching and the collective time he's been watching, for example. And there's all kinds of cool stuff there. And I guess, you know, we're kind of looking to explore different ways where maybe we can reward people, give them extra commands, let them do fun, cool stuff. So that'll be very much the focus of next week's show. But I guess the one thing we probably haven't touched on is, you know, a lot of the things we've been pointing you towards this week are resources that other people have made, which is awesome and amazing. But you also have the opportunity just to create and maybe repurpose things that you've already got and give them that festive flair.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, there's a lot of, you know, things inside the stream and outside of the stream that you can, you know, touch up for the holidays, and it just breaks up the monotony of whatever you're doing. So whether it's, you know, redoing all of your graphics for like your Twitch descriptions or your YouTube banner, you know, just something to like bring new life into your channel and your live stream to make people go, oh, that's fun, that's new.
Absolutely. All right, so I'd be really curious to hear from people in that chat if they're doing anything special for the festive season in terms of your content. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But I guess, Sam, as we begin to wrap up, where can people learn more about you, find your content, all the good stuff?
Yeah, you can find all about me at samproof.tv. All of my socials are at the top left there, relatively in priority of how frequently I use them. And if you want to go mess around with the Catmas experience, head over to cuteavalanche.com, find the 24/7 stream on Twitch, and you can play with all of those good things there and have a great holiday.
Absolutely. And if you want to catch up with anything I'm doing, you can head over to johnlacey.com. There's the podcast, a whole bunch of articles and social links at the bottom of those pages. Find me where I hang out, which is generally YouTube and LinkedIn especially. Just a reminder, you know, if you are interested in getting the links or maybe revisiting some more instructions about all of this, you can head over to this article, which you can jump to by going to johnlacey.com/festive, and it does have some instructions on how to do all the various things, so you can definitely check that one out. But like we say, have a great week. I know it's not quite Christmas yet. We got another show before then, so hopefully you'll join us the same time next week. But certainly, if there is anything that you'd like to know about video live streaming, or if you have any recommendations on faster internet for Sam, please comment early, comment often. And I keep forgetting that I have this button, so don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you happen to be watching this, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.